Hello friends, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to TSAT channel. Welcome to my presentation. Let me introduce myself. Myself, I am Vindu, studying in BPC. I am from TTWREIS Girls, COE, Devarkonda from Nalgonda. Today, let me introduce first my topic. I choose my subject Zoology and my topic is reflex action and reflex arc. Let me first introduce my topics. My topics are nervous system and the nerve, the parts of the nervous system, the reflex action and reflex arc, the types of the reflex action and reflex arc. These are the topics which I have telling now. Now let us discuss the topic. As we all know that in our body there are many systems are present like circulatory system, nervous system, lymphatic system and etc. These are the many systems which are present in our body. So I had one question that in our body there are many systems. Then if these systems are coordinated with each other? Yes. The system which are present in our body are coordinate with each other. Can you say how these systems are coordinate by each other? Yes, the systems which are present in our body are coordinated by the nerve is called the nervous system. Now let us first discuss about the nervous system. Today we are talking about the nervous system and how it regulates the various parts of the body. The nervous system means the nerve which is cable-like structure within our body to conduct the nerve impulse to our brain. Here first we will say that the nervous system is an important system in our body which controls and coordinates in our body. Here so we can say that the nervous system is a very important in our body to controls and coordinate the systems which are present in our body. Now, the structural and the functional unit of this nervous system is known as the neuron. Neuron is nothing but in each and every organisms there are numbers of cells. We all has know that in each and every organisms there are numbers of cells are present. Among that cells, the one of the cell is nerve cell. So, the nerve cell which are present in our body, the nerve cell is the largest cell in our body. Why the nerve cell can say has the largest system? Because the nerve cell which controls, which coordinates and which transmits the information, which sends the information, which receives the information and which gives a response to stimulus. These are the functions which the nerves are doing. So, we can say that the nerve plays an vital role in our body. So, because of this we can say that the nerve is an important system in our body. The nerve is an important cell in our body. Here we had said that the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system is neuron. Now, let us discuss firstly about the neuron. Neuron means it is a part of the nervous system. We can say that the neuron is a part of the nervous system in our body. Here in this neuron they are divided into three types. This is a neuron which are present in our body. Here the structural and the functional unit of the neuron is known as the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system is known as the neuron. In these neuron they are divided mainly into three types. The first one is the cell body and the second one is the dendroids and the third one is the axons. In these neuron they are divided mainly into three types. The first one is the cell body, the second one is the dendroids and the third one is the axons. So, here we saw that the neuron are divided into three types. So, from these three types let we discuss one by one. Firstly, we will discuss about the cell body. Cell body is nothing but it is the part of the the part of this neuron is known as the cell body. In this cell body, again it is divided into 4 types. The cell body is again divided into 4 types. The first one is a nucleus, and the second one is a cytoplasm, third one is the dendrites, and the fourth one is a cytoplasm. And these are the 4 main parts which are present in the cell body. The only part of the cell body, the 4 main parts are present. Here we can say that the dendrites, axons, nucleus and the cytoplasm. So let us discuss about firstly nucleus. What is meant by the nucleus and where it is present? Yes, the nucleus is present at the center of this cell body is known as the nucleus. Here in the nucleus it contains of DNA, RNA and the proteins. So we can say that the nucleus is present at the center of the cell body, and the nucleus contains the RNA, DNA and the proteins. And the next one of this cell body is the dendrites. What is meant by the dendrites? As we all know that the dendrites are nothing but it is just short fibers. Like here we can observe that these are the dendrites, which is short fiber like structure. So here the dendrites, what is meant by the dendrites and what are the functions of the dendrites? The dendrites which contains the nissl granules. The dendrites which contains the nissl granules, and the functions of the dendrite is to receive the signals from a body part to the cell body is known as the dendrites. The dendrites are nothing but which receives the information from the dendrites through the cell body is known as the dendrite. So we can say that the dendrites are playing the main role to transmit the information to the cell body. And the third one in the cell body is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm means the fluid like structure in the cell body is known as the cytoplasm. As we all know that in the cell body we contains the fluid. That fluid is known as the cytoplasm. And the fourth one in the cell body is the nissl granules. Nissl granules means here the smallest particles is known as the nissl granules. The nissl granules, what is this nissl granules? The nissl granules is contained in the dendrites and in the cell body. So here the functions of the nissl granules is to consist of the RNA, and here the nissl granules which are present in the dendrites and the cell body are helps in consist of the RNA. So here we saw that the cell body contains the 4 types. The first one is the nissl granules, second one is the nucleus, and the third one is the dendrites, and the fourth one is the cell body. So here the 4 types which are said we have seen here, and the second one is dendrites. Now let us briefly discuss about the dendrites. What is meant by the dendrites? The dendrites are nothing but it is a short fiber like structure, and in these dendrites the nissl granules which are present here in the dendrites. So we can say that the dendrites are the small fibers, and these are the fiber like structure which are short in size. So we can say that the dendrites are short fibers, and in these dendrites the nissl granules are present, and the main functions of the dendrites is to receive the signals from a body parts to the cell body. This is the functions of the dendrites. The functions of the dendrite is that to receive the signals or to transmit the signals from our different parts of the body to the cell body is known as the dendrites, and the functions of the dendrites. Now let us discuss about the axon. The third part of the neuron is known as axon. What is meant by the axon? We had discussed previous that the dendrites and the cell body. Now we will discuss about the axon. What is meant by the axon? Here we can see that the axon is a long fiber like structure. The axon is a long fiber like structure which transmit the information from the cell body to the different parts of our body. In previous we had said that the dendrites are short fibers, but in axons they are long fibers and which transmit the information from our cell body to the different parts of the bodies. These are the main functions of the axon. So in this neuron we saw that the 3 types of neuron. The first one is the cell body, the second one is the dendrites, and the third one is the axons. In these we had saw their functions, their structures, and what they do and where they present. Now we'll discuss briefly about the nerve. What is meant by the nerve? As we all know that it is a structural and functional unit of the nervous system is called as nerve or neuron. Here the nerve is how the nerve will be. Yeah, we know that nerve is a cable like structure within our body to conduct the nerve impulse to the brain is known as the nervous system or neuron. The nerve is nothing but it is a cable like structure within our body to conduct the nerve impulse to our different parts of the body is known as the nerve. Here the nerve relay information from one part of the body to the another part of the body. As we know that the nervous system, the functions of the nervous system is to transmit the information to the different parts of the body. So we can say that the nervous system is a transmit of information or transmit of the any information that transmit from the different parts of the body. And this typical nerve is made up of the tissue. This typical nerve is made up of the 5 systems which are present in our body can control by the nervous system. So we can say that the nervous system can also controls and coordinate in our body, and it controls and coordinates in our body and system. Here the nerve also plays a chemical process, not only transforming the information but also it consists in chemical process. Here the nerve is divided into 2 types. The nerve which is divided into 2 types. The first one is the central nervous system and the second one is the peripheral nervous system. The nervous system has 2 main parts. The first one is central nervous system and the second one is peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is also known as CNS and the peripheral nervous system is also known as PNS. Here let us discuss about the central nervous system. The central nervous system which consists of brain and the spinal cord is known as the central nervous system. Here the central nervous system is nothing but which consists of the brain and the spinal cord is known as the central nervous system. In the central nervous system, the brain uses our nerves to transmit the information to the different parts of the body. Here the brain, which is the central nervous system, means which is a CNS, that takes the information from the nerve and gives and travels the information to the different parts of the body. So in this brain is made up of the myelin sheath. So we can say that the brain also plays an important role to transmit the information to different parts of the body. As we had seen that central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord which are connected by each other. Now next we will move to the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is nothing but the nerves which are composed of many nerves is known as the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, as we all know, that the PNS. The peripheral nervous system means which contains the both brain and the spinal cord, and in these peripheral nervous system, the nerves which consist a number of nerves is known as the peripheral nervous system. In these peripheral nervous system, they are again divided into 2 types. There are 2 parts. The first one is cranial nervous system and the second one is spinal nervous system. The first one, let us discuss about the cranial nervous system. What is meant by the cranial nervous system? As we all know that the cranial nervous system means the nerves which are coming from the brain is known as the cranial nervous system. The cranial nervous system is nothing but the nerve which are coming from the brain is known as the cranial nervous system. And let we come to the spinal nervous system. As we all know that the spinal nervous system is nothing but the nerves which are coming from the spinal cord is known as the spinal nervous system. So in this peripheral nervous system, they are composed of 2 types. The first one is cranial nervous system and the second one is spinal nervous system. Now let me discuss about the peripheral nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system, it again composed of two types. The first one is somatic nervous system and the second one is autonomic nervous system. The peripheral nervous system not only composed of the cranial and the spinal nerve, but it also contains the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Let me about the somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is nothing but an voluntary movements. We know that what is meant by the voluntary movements. Yes, the voluntary movements means which are did by ourselves. The exterior parts is known as the voluntary muscles. How we can say that it is a voluntary muscle means by our hands, by our legs, we can move by ourselves is known as the voluntary muscle. So we can say that the somatic nervous system is an voluntary movement, and the autonomous nervous system is an involuntary movement. Involuntary means which is did by themselves without our helping is known as the involuntary movements. Example of the involuntary movements are internal parts like heartbeats, like respiration, etc. So these are the involuntary muscles which did by themselves is known as the autonomic nervous system, and this autonomic nervous system is also known as the involuntary movement. Means the autonomous nervous system means the involuntary movements. And the next, now let us come to the next topic, that is reflex action and reflex act. Do you know the action? Do you know the reflex action and reflex act? Yes, as we all know that the reflex act is nothing but it is a fast, involuntary and unplanned movements which is response to a particular stimulus is known as the reflex action. The reflex action is nothing but it is a fast process and it is involuntary, means which did by itself is known as the reflex action. We know that in our body the nervous is a super fast computer. So we can say that the nervous is a super fast. So in this reflex action we observe that it is a fast movement and involuntary, unplanned, which responds to a stimulus is known as a reflex action. The reflex action, this entire process of the response to a particular stimulus is known as a reflex action. And this reflex action, the reflex pathway is composed of two types. The first one is efferent neuron and the second one is efferent neuron. Let us now talk about the efferent neuron. What is meant by the efferent neuron? Yes, the efferent neuron is nothing but it is one type of reflex action that transmit the information from our body parts to the brain. From our body parts to the brain is known as the efferent neuron. And the efferent neuron means the messages which transmit from the brain to the body parts is known as the efferent nerve. And here the reflex action is divided into five components. The first one is neuron respirators, the second one is sensory neurons, third one is integration center, fourth one is effector, and the fifth one is motor nerve. There are the 5 components which are present in reflex action. First we will discuss about the sensory receptor. Sensory receptors is nothing but the distinct end. In this, the sensory receptors is nothing but the distinct end of the dendroids which gives an associated sensory neuron is known as the sensory receptors. In these sensory receptors, the dendroids plays an important role. Why? Because these transmit the information from our body parts to the brain. So it is known as the effector. So we can say that this plays an important role in sensory receptors. The next one is sensory neuron. Sensory neuron means the nerve impulse which reacts with the sensory neuron and the sensory receptors, means the information which gives from the axons and the dendroids are known as the sensory neurons. In these sensory neurons not only plays and dendroids but also it plays an important role of axons is known as a sensory neurons. In these sensory neurons that gives the information to the brain and the brain gives us consciousness to our body. So we can observe that what is happening in our surroundings. And the next one is the integration center. Integration center is nothing but one or the more regions of the center, one or more regions of the gray matter is known as the integration center. Here we can observe that these are the efferent neuron and these are the efferent neuron, and here it is a stimulus. When we beat to our leg, it responds immediately, involuntary. And here when we beat to our leg, then the nerve of effector, the nerve which is sent to the gray matter, and the brain will give that information with the help of the efferent neuron, and it gives the information that it is a dangerous. So we can say that the integration center is nothing but it is one or more gray matter, means here is a gray matter in the spinal cord. Here can be one neuron or the more than other neurons. So the integration center is nothing but the one or more regions of the gray matter. In this, there is only one single synaptic. What is meant by the synapses? The synapses is nothing but the axons of the one dendroid to the dendroid of the axons of the one neuron to the dendroid of the one neuron is another neuron is known as the synapses. The junction between these two neurons is known as the junction between these two neurons is known as the synapses. Here in integration center, the only single synapses is present, then it is known as the monosynapses. If there are more than two neurons are present in the gray matter, then we can say that the polysynapses. And the next one is the motor neuron. As we all know that efferent neuron is also known as a motor neuron. So we can easily say that the information which gives from the body parts to the information which gives the brain to the body parts is known as a motor neuron. So we can say that the motor neuron is also efferent neuron. And the last one is receptors. Effectors is nothing but response to a particular stimulus is known as the effector. In these effector, the voluntary muscles are present and the involuntary muscles are also present. The voluntary muscles means which is did by ourselves, like hands, limbs, etc. And involuntary means like smooth muscles which are involuntary internal structures. So let me conclude my topic is the nervous system is very important in our body, which sends and receives information to the different types of the body. So because of the nervous system, we can observe the changes in our surroundings and what is happening, and we can detect these changes of environments with the help of our sense organs like eyes, nose, tongue, skin, ears, etc. By these sense organisms, we can observe the changes in our environment because of the nerve. So what we have discussed, let us recapture that. We have discussed about the nervous system and the neuron, and the parts of the nervous system means they consist of two parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, and the next one is reflex action. What is meant by the reflex action? The reflex action is a fast involuntary muscles, and it contains the efferent neuron and the efferent neuron, and the parts are present in reflection actions are the sensory receptors, sensory neurons, integration center, effectors, and the motor nerve. And these are the five main components which are present in the reflex action, and these are the main parts which helps in reflection action activity. So we can say that in our body, the main system is the nervous system, which gives the information to the different types of the body. So we can say that the nervous system is playing and vital role in our body. And thank you to my mentor teacher Mr. Srinivas Rao sir, and our principal Uma Sujata madam, and to the secretary sir Praveen Kumar sir, and to the TSAT channel. Thank you and happy good learning.